Hi, everyone. Welcome back to a special conversation on the Legend Fiction Show. We're joined by one of the OGs from the Legend Fiction community, Tati. Good to have you back with us.
Hello, thanks for having me.
So, Tati has been with us since before we were Legend Fiction, then we rebranded and came on for a couple of other conversations and so on. And you've been busy working with the family farm and writing and gaming and so on. So you pitched this really cool idea for a conversation, inspiration for world building and storytelling in video games. And you identified three things that I thought would be fun to talk about: immersion, exploration, and side quests. So, first, what's your favorite video game? And what is it you love about gaming?
Okay, well, I don't know if it's obvious that Legend of Zelda
Yeah,
is
there
my
it is.
favorite video game. Specifically, Ocarina of Time here is
Mm-hmm.
the game that got me into fantasy. I think without it, I don't know if I would have dived into fantasy like I did. And it awakened my imagination. So I'm super grateful that God put that game in my life so early on.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I think I just love video games because, and we'll like talk about this like
Yeah.
in our in later, but it's just you become your character. Like you live these experiences that you have no chance of experiencing,
Mm-hmm.
in real life. I'm not gonna go and like explore magical forests or fight zombies or go travel in space. Um, and meet aliens and stuff like that. And with video games, you have it's a little different from movies or TV shows, even
Mm-hmm.
books and stuff. I feel like video games, like I said, you become the character. I don't think there's
Yes.
anything as immersive
Mm-hmm.
as video games, and you can become like characters in stories and stuff. But I think there is a little bit of a veil there compared to
Mm-hmm.
video games where you are controlling this character.
Right.
In a
Mm-hmm.
story, if you want the character to go like explore this little thing, or like in a book, you're interested in that. You can't. You have to go with like what the novel is
Right.
doing. And with
Right.
video games, you can actually like go and do a little detour here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So I just love how freeing it is.
I agree. I remember watching a playthrough for, I think it was God of War, and it was the first Viking entry. And I haven't
Oh,
played the game, and it's been 2 years since I saw this. But I remember getting like 45 minutes into this playthrough, and they're showing us this really stunning room in the game, and all of a sudden it just hit me. This is why I mean, I love games too, but this is why games, especially well thought through, well crafted ones that actually have a story or some high concept to communicate, it is far more immersive than a novel or even a movie because you're actually involved and you get to decide where you put your attention. So, in terms of teaching you to think more deeply about something, maybe
yeah,
change your opinion or change your awareness about things. Um, if, like you said, you can't physically go do things, so you put yourself in these playful environments where you can then discover, who am I? Who might I be? If nobody else is like looking, who might I
yeah,
actually be in a situation either of danger or of fun or of support or imagination or whatever? And I think it's extremely important that as humans that we do that. We either game with each other or we game privately, um, to figure ourselves out, and sometimes you can discover things about yourself that you would not have thought of, if you weren't
yeah,
playing the game.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've definitely like you said, I there's definitely times where like multiplayer games are needed because you have that communal aspect, and then definitely the single player ones like playing Legend of Zelda. Like I'm not super adventurous. I'm not super brave, you know. And being Link, I can go and save, explore these awesome lands and save people and be brave, you know, and
Mhm.
learn that bravery through playing, like, that little bit of courage.
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
Yeah, I've been struck by with gaming this sense of, I've lost the thought. Let me see if it'll come back. Um, well, sort of as an aside, I've started trying to play some more video games for me recently, just because there's so much going on with work, and so I'm playing like it's a shooting game, uh, and realizing, hey, I keep reacting the same way whenever somebody shows up and it starts shooting, and so we begin to realize I need to rewire my reactions because they're defaulting based on whatever. So I need to start doing this in a game in a safe place,
Yeah.
so that when it starts to come up in reality, I can start from a different standpoint. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a form of inner exercise. This is what the Ignatian spiritual exercises are all about, like visualization.
Yeah.
Visualize the situation, visualize your response, play it through in your mind
Mm-hmm.
over and over and over again, and then when it actually happens, you've done a ton of practice from wherever you're sitting. Um, I think that's one, again, the reason why games are so valuable, is because um, it's so funny thinking about what is play, right? What is play at all? Play is just
Mm-hmm.
reality with like less consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you can have fun with it if you're not going to die
Yeah.
doing a nosedive off a building, with like
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed.
Mm-hmm.
So
You can
if there's like,
you can attack Kukos, and then they'll attack you, but then you'll learn not to do that again.
yeah, yeah. And again, depending on the game, it can also be a really good prompt for how to think about reality a bit differently. And that actually can be really, really important. So let's talk about when it comes to story building, or storytelling. You yourself have written your own stories and you've participated in, what do they call it? Anthologies of stories and so on. What is it that you love about gaming? And maybe this will go into your first point about the sense of immersion. What is it that you love about games and how that inspires you with your own storytelling?
Yeah, so in terms of like immersion, you know, you as and there are like three specific ones that I think do this really well. RPGs, role playing games, MMOs. I think it's massively multiplayer online games,
Online
and then
games, yeah.
FPS games, first person shooter games. You are it's a little different from like platformers. I think that they call it platforming, like Super Mario, where you're just like scrolling through.
Yeah, side scrollers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, with these three, you can pretty much like, especially if they're open world, you can pretty much do anything you want to.
Mhm.
And like I keep saying, like you become the character. So if you're experiencing um, this new area for the first time, you know that awe and wonder is so present to you.
Mhm.
And um, and then if you're in like a scary area, or like you're playing like Resident Evil or something, and you're like super scared of like turning the corner because you don't know what is going to pop out at you, and you're
Right.
trying to be super quiet. And I mean,
Mhm.
I've had moments of fear in my life, so I can draw from that to express what my characters are feeling. But it's a little bit different when like even like the music that they have or the sound effects are like especially if you're wearing headphones, and so like it's more like you're in that actual world. It's like the craziest thing to like you're not really there. Like if
Mhm.
they attack you, it's not going to hurt you, but you
Yeah,
feel it like so
agreed.
vividly. Like I'm terrified, of these zombies.
And I think those of us who game, and I'm going to totally say you because I don't game as much as I would love to, um, you get this sense of the putting yourself in other situations, and again exploring and figuring out who you are, what your responses are going to be. It can also be an opportunity to like watch yourself and see how you're responding and decide if you want to sort of retool that. And it's a little bit of a, I think it's a loss for people who don't play games as much, um, or who don't understand how really powerful it can be. But I think even more than that, there's a video I remember watching on YouTube that talks about these the delight of exploring these massive worlds and what they reveal to us about our own inner landscapes, and what they reveal to us, and the kind of games that you love they're it's like you're trying to tell yourself something by how much
Mhm.
you love them, you know and maybe giving yourself the space to own that, and this,
Yeah.
yeah, and why that matters to you.
Yeah, exactly. And if I would recommend, there's this. I think it came out last year. My friend Caitlin recommended it to me recently, and I'm just so grateful that she did because it was such a good series. God and Gaming, from the Word on Fire Institute. You can find it on YouTube, and I think it's
Mhm.
like 6 videos, and they
Okay.
break it down like the intersection of like faith and video games, and it's just so cool because they explain how like video games they do have truth, goodness, and beauty in them. Like they
Yeah.
are like they kind of are more real than like what our more
Mhm.
secular world is trying to push. And it's just a fantastic series. Like I loved it. I watched it once by myself, and then I told my sisters, they're not gamers, but I was like, you guys have to listen to this. It's so good. And so I'm watching it a second time with them. But I definitely recommend that, God and Gaming from the Word on Fire Institute. And it explains, goes into deeper, like what you're saying too, like how it helps us understand ourselves and like who we're ultimately trying to become
Mm-hmm.
as like God's children, and like good versus evil and stuff. It's so good. So,
Mm-hmm. Agreed. So again, going over the whole immersion, the sense that you're there, and we love novels that can do that to
mm-hmm.
us as
Yeah.
well. That can, all of a sudden it's like 2 a.m. Like what?
Yes.
So what is it about a game that uh, you'll pay attention to that then has inspired you or helped you with writing stories?
Yeah. So then, like, I think I was saying this earlier, that I can draw on, like, if I'm writing a fearful moment in a story, I can draw on
Mhm.
my own fears. But there's something about like putting yourself again like in this headspace where even like the sounds, and like you pay attention to the sounds
Mhm.
to much more of your like your surroundings in video games, and I think that helps me visualize what my character is experiencing. So if I ever am going to write a zombie story, I can
Mhm.
go and think back on like the playthroughs I've seen of Resident Evil, because I'm not brave enough to play them on my own. But I can go back on the
Yeah.
playthroughs and just visualize how even scared as a viewer I was, or if
Mhm.
I want to do like some fantastical world, like Legend of Zelda, I can draw on like that awe and wonder that a person feels the first time they see a new area that is just like
Mhm.
breathtakingly beautiful. So I can draw on those emotions, like that joy, that like excitement. Yeah. So when I express what my characters are experiencing. So.
Mhm. Yeah. So you can look at yourself and use yourself to describe that.
Mm-hmm.
So talking about breathtaking new areas, you made a point about exploration
Mm-hmm.
as an additional point that you love about games and also inspires your own storytelling. So what are your thoughts on that front?
Yeah, so the first thing is that obviously it, like I said before, it gives you the opportunity to experience things that you usually wouldn't. So again, zombies, space. I know, like, what is it, like Bioshock, Metroid, and stuff like that.
Okay.
Um, and I think I got that right. I'm very limited in my video game, so I'm sorry if I got those wrong. But and also apart from like just experiencing um, new worlds or new events that I can't do in real life, video games also let me explore them at my own pace.
Hmm.
So like a movie or even a book, you're maybe not restricted, but just you have to go at the pace that the storyteller um, it has laid out already. You can't, like, if,
Hmm.
like, let's say in the movie Lord of the Rings, if I want to stay in Rivendell a little longer and just explore that world, I really
Hmm.
can't. The filmmakers said, okay, from this time to this time is when we're going to be here. Star
Hmm.
Wars, if I want to explore the desert planet Tatooine,
Hmm.
I'm stuck with what they gave me.
Hmm.
Whereas video games, I can stay somewhere and just watch, scavenge, collect, explore, just watch pretty much however long I want,
Yeah.
and just soak in that world.
Yeah.
That creators worked really hard to,
Yep.
like, on the details. The way the grass sways in the wind, the little birds that go in, like fly,
Hmm.
randomly. Um, the citizens just walking around doing their own thing, like the NPCs. And I
Hmm.
know they're like on a strict, like, routine, whatever,
Yeah, but
but
we can all pretend. So.
yeah. So I it gives me time to look at those details, and then I can transfer that into my world building. So I can create worlds that feel more lived in. You
Hmm.
know, I can think like small scale. Um, like if maybe I'm writing this epic fantasy, but I'm in this little town for a little bit. I don't know. Like, I just draw from those things that I've seen in video games
Hmm.
and use it to create my worlds, because I took the time to just look at the world
Right.
around me.
Right. I like the way that you put that. Just simply looking at the world around you. A lot of times we don't actually do that with our own life, with things around us. Um, so what's fun, I think, about gaming is it's a form of playful contemplation. And we might have people telling us contemplation is very important. It's like you got to do it, be serious and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's also really, really, really important to actually playfully be doing it. So you can do it in a game, and maybe you can then sort of teach yourself the skill to actually do it in reality too.
Mm-hmm.
But um, when this is again what you love about a game, and this is one of the things that I love about a game, is when you enter into a game, you're automatically entering into a world that has an intention. There's like quests and missions and
Mm-hmm.
side quests. We'll talk about that in a moment.
Yeah.
But you're entering onto like a playing board where it's a field of action. Stuff's supposed to happen. Now,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'm going to, like you say, stay in Rivendell for a while because there's just something in me that just wants to be worked out, or I need to exercise that, or I just need to be here for a while. I don't even actually know why. And this stuff is it's at the level of intuition, not
Yeah.
maybe rational thought. Like I want to be here. And games, especially this as video games get better, in terms of graphics and so on, but
Mm-hmm.
also in terms of how they create storytelling, they encourage or they empower you to kind of stay where you need to stay and set your own pace. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times in real life doesn't let you do that. It's like you have to show up at the job or show up at the
Mm-hmm.
work, and family commitments or whatever, and you don't have control over your timeline. And what then often happens, I think, and probably is, for example, the right side of you ends up having to shut down and go away because you need the left side
Yeah.
to show up and just get you through the day and ignore all the stuff that is not going to help you survive, and um, do the things that you need to do. And then this other part of you just isn't getting any oxygen, and it's like, so
Yeah.
we need things like gaming. And then you show up in Rivendell and your body is like, please, can we stay? Let's
Yes.
just stay. We just need to be here for like
Yes.
a long time. And
Yes.
um and maybe you don't even know why, and there's nothing that you can do to change your living situation right now. And so gaming is and play and contemplating, these are, yes, they're built in worlds, they're built in games, but they're giving you something that is also in reality that you're meant to
Mm-hmm.
chew on and sort of stay
Yeah.
in. And then just coming back to that again, sort of the side quest thing, that sense that when you enter into a game, your avatar is dropped into a field of action and you're called to do something. Um, I think we love gaming because we're we're also like dropped into life on
Yeah.
planet Earth, but then we're also kind of told you need to get busy doing stuff that ultimately doesn't matter. Now, you're not going to eat unless you do, and
Yeah.
you're not going to have an easy time sleeping, which is kind of like you must do that every 20, every 16 hours or something. But ultimately, the world kind of doesn't really know what to tell you, like why you're here, what you're supposed to be doing, and we're like meaning making, story living,
Mm-hmm.
action doing people things,
Yeah.
and it's like you're being put on a game and there's no point to it, and that can kind of drive you nuts after a while. And so we turn to games to like this. We're living in a game, we're living in a
Yes.
story, you know
Yeah.
um, and I think gaming can sometimes give you a sense of sanity, and I think that's actually a hint to why they're important, because we need to actually figure out what is the great game of
Mm-hmm.
creation. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so a lot of this, like I've heard this through again that God and Gaming thing
I'm
from the
sure,
Word on
yeah. I
Fire
need to watch
Institute.
that. That sounds great.
Yeah, it's so good. Like so you're like I'm just like nodding along because I'm just like, yes, this is so true. I hear this and I believe it because I've lived it. Like as a
Hmm.
gamer, like again, I didn't understand why, you know, playing these games is so like health not healthy, because I do sometimes play too much, but like so life
Well, we
giving.
can eat too much too,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
watch too much TV, but whatever.
yeah,
So
yeah.
doesn't negate the good.
Yeah, 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 of course. And so it is life giving to me. Like it
Hmm.
fills that creative well in me. And also, yeah, spiritually, it's drawing on something like bigger than me, even if I don't know how to explain it.
Hmm.
But um, but yeah, that just resonates with me so much. And like I think with side quests, they can be kind of like a little bit of a breather in that epic, grand scale plot in the background. Sometimes I just need a break from that. And so like I kind of need a break from the game, just like I need a break from life with the game. So
Hmm.
I do a little side quest that is much easier for me, helps me still like level up, and it's still fun, and still some of them even still serve the main plot still.
Hmm.
And so, but I was like playing the new Zelda game, Tears of the Kingdom. I'm like, doing my side quests because I do love side quests. Like, I know they're not for everyone, but I do love them. And I kind of realized this is kind of like a short story of a video game
Mm,
because
mm-hmm,
it's just this one little problem you have to solve, and it's very quick. And I just thought that was really cool. I do love short stories too, so maybe like there's a reason
mm-hmm.
like the side quests and short stories um, that I like them so much.
Yeah.
But I thought that was pretty neat. So if like I know some people struggle with short stories, especially like keeping them small. And I would
Mm-hmm.
say like look to side quests in video games. Like they resolve. They have a beginning, middle, and end. Like and there you go.
Yep.
Like that's I think a fun way of like a fun
Mm-hmm.
research. You know.
Agreed. Agreed. There's a thought that came while you were talking. Let me see if I can chase it down again. Side quests are something that slightly terrify me. Like we were chatting earlier about the game Palia that came out recently, and I started playing it, and then it's just loading me up with side quests, and my ADHD brain is like, I gotta action everything, hit everything, and like, but I really don't. I am not interested in those. I want the mega storyline of like why the ruins are here and where did all the
Yeah.
humans go. It's like, but then I can't do this unless I do all the side quests and stuff. In a way, it's a good metaphor for life too,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times we'll pick up hobbies and we'll sort of explore them, and then sometimes a hobby or an activity, all it needs to be is a side quest, and you just need to focus on it for like a
Yeah.
season or a period of your life to learn the skill or something, or just the fun that comes from it, so that you can then go back and apply it to uh, the rest of your ability to do something. And it's like a little bit of leveling up. There's an example that I used. I'm trying to remember the article where I wrote about it. I don't remember, but there's a fun show that my wife and I loved watching called Monarch of the Glen. And the story, very briefly, is about a chef in Dublin, I think. I don't know. And he's called out of his very successful restaurant, moderately successful, to um, return to the family estate. And it's basically a sinking ship of a home. It's like this gorgeous, massive castle that's
Mm-hmm.
completely buried in debt, no plan, no future, and he has to fix this problem and solve it. So, um, uh, where was I going? Oh, there's this one episode in like season 3 or 4 where his mother decides somebody shows up in town and her husband has passed, and she's kind of wondering if she should get back into dating again. But she's now, you know, later in life, and is it for me? And I don't really know. So now she's got this massive quest in front of her. Like she's not
Mm-hmm.
really ready for it. So what does she do? She goes and she spends 2 episodes mucking around with a dating and relationship
Mm-hmm.
agency that she starts herself. And so people put ads in the what's it called, the newspapers, and
Mm-hmm.
then she introduces them to each other, and she creates relationships. And so she does that until she realizes this whole time I wasn't actually wasting my time or ignoring my own main quest, the journey of my own heart that needed to be
Mm-hmm.
happening here. I needed to go on this sort of side quest with other people and help them through this process
Yeah.
to open in me the capacity to be able to do my own quest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that really struck me as why side quests in life or in gaming or in stories are actually really, really important, because they help us build up or bulk up a little bit of the heft that we need or the skill set that we need to then do something more important. So if you're
Yes.
feeling called to side quests,
Yeah. Do
go for them however
Yeah.
you need to do them. Maybe there's a skill that you'll learn from it that'll come back to save you 10 years later. It might not even be immediate, but if you're called to it, spend time figuring out why you're called to it.
Yes. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, in wrapping up, we covered uh, immersion, which is um, paying attention to how games can kind of enchant and capture our senses, and how
Mm-hmm.
that can then influence the stories that we write. Then there's exploration, you said, where paying attention to ourselves and how we react to exploring and discovering things,
Mm-hmm.
and then using that to also enrich our characters. Um, and then side quests for short stories or for subplots, actually,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
in bigger stories, because usually you have to resolve the subplot so that the main plot can actually finish.
Yeah. That's true.
So yeah, that's very cool. Any final thoughts, and how can people find you online?
Well, I wish video games were not as expensive. I understand
Yeah.
why, because they're a lot of work and there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
But like, definitely, if you have the money, the income, definitely try some video games out, especially open world games. Those are just give you so much freedom.
Hmm.
I would recommend all the Legend of Zelda games, but that's just
Hmm.
personal preference. But um, yeah, if you guys want to talk, chat video games with me, I'm totally open for that. I'm on Instagram at Citlalin Ossio. That's CITLALINOSSIO, and I'm on a social media break, but I'm like this is kind of like my comeback. So I'll be back on soon to just chat about all the things I've been up to, the stories I've been working on, illustrations and stuff like that. None of these are mine; these are all fan arts, and I dream of one day being able to do fan art of
Hmm.
Legend of Zelda like this. So but yeah, so I would love to chat with anyone who loves fantasy, Legend of Zelda, obviously any games, Nintendo
Hmm.
especially, Faith, anything like that. I'm totally down for it.
Awesome. Thanks, Tati. So, friends, there are going to be 2 links in the description. Check them out. You've got one link to Tati's Instagram, so you can follow her and reach out to her and chat with her if you like. Then there's the second link, which is for Legend Haven. Hit that to register and join us for free for our second annual all day, all free online event to celebrate fantasy and sci fi fiction. I mean, really all fiction,
Yeah.
but mostly for those of us who love our faith and who love the craft of storytelling. So we look forward to seeing you there. Tati, it was fun to have you back on. Thanks again.
Thank you.